again, Doctor.
Who are you?
That was so efficient. There is not a tiny corner of you that remembers.
Remembers what?
You and I. Dancing across space and time. Locked in combat. And now, after so long apart, we get to do it once more.
I don't know you.
Yet I know you. I remember every battle, which gives me the advantage. Our final fight has begun.
Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with your super special episode 1 of Doctor Who Flux review that we've got. I'm Matthew and I'm joined here as always.
Hello, I'm Scott.
Hello, Scott. Yeah, there's going to be 2 episodes of Who Watches Who this week. That's wild.
Indeed, yeah, just insane.
But it's finally happened after what feels like months, nay days, no hours of speculating, maybe the other way around, about what this new season was going to be. It's finally happened. We have both watched the first episode of Doctor Who Flux, and sweet Jesus Christ, so much happened.
It's probably the biggest episode of Doctor Who ever, just in terms of like all these subplots.
All right, Chris Chibnall. All right. I didn't realize we had him on the podcast.
I don't think he was exaggerating when he was saying this is the biggest season ever. Like 10 subplots in this episode alone, just so much going on. It's so dense. Like every second there's a new subplot being introduced.
There's a lot of plot happening in this episode, and he really wasn't joking about it starting halfway through a story. When I first pressed play on it, I thought iPlayer had messed up, and it had, because I was watching it with like a 10-minute delay. I thought it had put me like on the live feed and not on the watch from the start, and so I just trying to rewind it. Like, wait, no, this isn't the start. We're coming in halfway through a sentence. Like,
yeah, it is a pretty insane opening. Just the Carvanista is the villain name, which I still don't like. I'm just going to call him a big doggy.
Villain, quote-unquote villain. I really enjoyed the twist with the Carvanista as well.
So did I. But yeah, the doggy hangs the Doc and Yaz upside down above acid, and the plant will be engulfed by the flux, I guess, or whatever. And then the kill disc will kill them, and it's the final hours of planet Earth. All that information is given to us within a minute. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in that first minute. But the one thing that, I think this is my least favorite scene in the episode, which, you know, is a good thing or a bad thing that the first scene is my least favorite. And that was simply because of how it was presented. I thought the editing, camera work, and specifically the green screen seemed really awkward and bad, which it didn't really happen for the rest of the episode. But just that one scene, I was like, like even the trailer, I thought the green screen in the trailer looked better than it did on the live feed. It was something weird with it.
Yeah, it didn't look too great, but you know, it was filmed in COVID restrictions. I'm guessing that's something to do with it. I don't know. But it's fine for Doctor Who. And also, I do like the scene for having 2 big references to classic Who. One of them is Doctor mentions Nitro 9, which is a reference to Ace from the 7th Doctor era. She used to build her own explosives, so that got a cheeky reference. And then the Doctor does a great Capaldi impression.
Yeah, I loved that when she was trying to get the handcuffs off her wrists and was like, wait, maybe I was Scottish when I made these.
But according to like the BBC America subtitles, she did a Capaldi impression and then a Sylvester McCoy impression, which I love.
That's great. That's a nice little touch for the subtitles to add. That's really good. Yeah, there was another reference as well. One slightly more blatantly obvious. The space station that Game of Thrones boys on was called Rose. Do you,
Oh, never even
did
noticed
you,
that.
did you not pick that up? That was the only reference I picked up, and I was like, "Ha, that's really on the nose." I kind of like it though. Yeah, he's on a spaceship called or a star base called Rose.
Did it say it on screen, or was
They
it in
said
dialogue?
they said it in dialogue multiple times. It
Well-
was like the ship's computer being like, "This is the starship Rose."
Well, that's an interesting reference.
Yeah, I'm surprised you missed it.
But yeah, that was a big opening, though. Just a massive opening.
Yeah, it was really really good, and we also got quite a bit of Dan in this episode, who thankfully I managed to understand the entire time. I was really worried I wasn't going to understand him because that is one thick accent he's got.
Yeah, but before that, we went to Liverpool 1820 after the intro, and there's two men in a mine shaft, and one of them has a big mutton chop hairstyle.
Oh, I didn't like this scene either. Yeah, the opening of this episode I thought was kind of all over the place, and by that I mean bad.
Yeah, but do you think these two men have something to do with Dan? Because we live in Liverpool,
Because they're
and
from
there's
Liverpool.
yes, that's the only connection. Like Dan knows a lot about Liverpool's history. I'm sure he might have known something about this. Whatever we're building to. I'm guessing
Yeah.
they're keeping. I'm guessing they've built something to keep away the flux, or something like that. That's what I'm guessing.
Or maybe, or to attract or it's just another subplot. Yeah, I can definitely see Dan being tied into it. Like they're digging into some mine they fought. Like we've seen them in the mine shafts in the trailer where they're exploring some tomb. Maybe that tomb is the tomb in Liverpool, and Dan's all like, "Oh, I'm from Liverpool, and why don't I know about this?" You know. I can see that happening, but this scene particularly with the Liverpudlian Victorians.
Yeah.
Probably my least favorite written scene Chibnall's done in a while. I thought the dialogue here was so bad. Like really like stereotypical, like the guy was like essentially rubbing his hands together and going, "My plan will come into fruition." Like
Yeah, there is a lot of on-the-nose dialogue about what is actually going on here. It's like dialogue such as, "If I were to speak to you about their true purpose, your mind would buckle under pressure. What lays ahead? The cataclysmic, the impossible."
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not some not great dialogue in this episode.
Another line of dialogue, but I'll skip ahead just a little bit. Do you know this? What is the guy's name? Swarm.
Bill,
the
Bum.
guy. Swarm, the crystal man.
Oh yeah,
He basically,
yeah.
there's a point where he ends the scene saying "trick or treat."
Oh,
and
I
then
hate that. Yeah.
and then the doctor realizes, "Oh, we're going to October 31st in Yaz." Not hearing what Swarm said is like "trick or treat." It's like, really?
Yeah, who hears October 31st then says trick or treat? Like the villain saying it, I can get on board. You know, it's cheesy villain stuff, but like a companion being like Halloween trick or treat, like,
Yeah, yeah. The start of the next scene starts off with like kids outside Dan's food shelter getting treats. They could have just said trick or treat. That could be a good fun cutting,
transition.
but
Yeah, like a transition.
But
yeah.
Yaz being like, "Oh, trick or treat." It's a bit over the top.
Yeah, it was strange. Also, the thing that I like that happens in the first scene of this, or at least we get like a touch of it in the first scene, they build off it throughout the episode, is the Doctor and Yaz's relationship is actually interesting to me now. Where they've made Yaz just become really short-tempered with the Doctor and getting tired. Like, it's very much, this is a companion who's on the way out. Like, this is a companion that's been traveling with the Doctor for too long and is sick of the Doctor's stuff.
Yeah, it's basically the same reason why Ryan and Graham left last season. Like, there's a whole big, well, it wasn't a big arc, but because they hardly ever touched on it, but like...
It was more like a
episodes-
leap over a small puddle.
Episodes like Spyfall made it very clear that these characters know nothing about the Doctor. Like, they know absolutely nothing about her, and every time they're put in a situation, the Doctor's like planning a plan, but never let him in on it. When that Yaz says as much in this episode, which yeah, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, there was a lot of friction between the two of them, which I really, really liked. And Yaz argued with the Doctor and fought back against her plans and stuff like that. They built tension and drama on this sci-fi drama show.
I don't think I've ever seen a companion have this much friction with the Doctor before.
Yeah, I have no idea. I can't think of a time where, besides Clara sometimes got really snippy with Matt Smith or Capaldi's Doctor. Specifically more Capaldi, because Capaldi, his first few seasons is socially inept. And Clara gets and also when he regenerates into Capaldi and Clara's super confused. That was a companion that was really upset with the Doctor. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over 6 episodes of Yaz getting tired of the Doctor, especially with this whole Galactus from Fantastic Four attacking the Earth.
Yes, I was thinking about that as well. Yeah, but Yaz doesn't even know the TARDIS is alive. She's like, maybe it's alive. I don't know.
Yeah, she knows nothing about stuff the Doctor says all the time to every companion. That she knows nothing about it. Yeah.
It's kind of sad. But I guess this Doctor is kind of socially inept in the first place. That scene where Graham...
More so than normal, yeah.
A scene where Graham went up to her last season being like, oh, I think I may have cancer again. I'm scared. And the Doctor's like, oh, I'm too awkward for this. I'm just going to walk over here now. It's
interesting that they've made her Doctor the least likable Doctor.
Yeah.
She has the personality of least likable. She was. Although I really enjoyed Jodie in this episode. She was manic. She was manic and all over the place, but I thought she was fun, and she also a thing that I did enjoy. Scott's got notes for the scenes. I'm just talking. There was the bit where she's talking with Carvanista and she's trying to give her big Doctor speech but keeps getting distracted. I really enjoyed that as well, where it's this could be your Doctor moment where you give your big monologue, but what's that red light? What's going on there?
I think she kind of comes too close to being overly manic, but this episode kind of almost crosses that line but doesn't step over it, if that makes sense. It goes very close to stepping over that line. But I do wish we kind of reined her back in a bit. This is her last season. She kind of deserves more gravitas.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll get that by the end. Maybe Chibnall has an arc planned out where she starts out manic and not taking stuff super seriously and not communicating her feelings and her ideas. And then by the end of it, she's learned and she gives a big Matt Smith-esque speech about how important everybody is and how she wants to save the Earth. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, hopefully we've got 8 episodes left if we include the specials next year. So hopefully something big happens with this one. Speaking of, we have Dan in the mix now. And what do you think of his character so far?
I think he's an interesting character for a companion in that they've made him the greatest man that ever lived. He's the most charitable human. Yeah. To ever exist, which was an interesting choice, but I still kind of liked him. He's super into Liverpool, which as someone not from Liverpool or from England, I just don't relate to in the slightest. Mm-hmm. So I found it really hard to care about his character. And then they did stuff where he's he works at a food bank and he doesn't accept charity for himself, even though he's got no food. He just gives and gives and gives. He's a saint. Saint Dan.
They really work overtime to make the character really likable as well. Yeah. Just his introduction, he reminds me a lot of Ruth, the Doctor from last season. The episode where we think she's human, it starts off with her being a tour guide and all that.
Are you saying that Dan's going to be the Doctor?
Maybe.
He's going to be one of the... is there a name yet for the Timeless Child Doctors? The ones that she's forgotten?
We just call them Fugitive Doctors, I think.
That's a boring name.
Because yeah.
Maybe Dan's a fugitive doctor who's got his Time Lord essence in a stopwatch. It's very possible.
But yeah, I do love how he's a very optimistic character. there's a scene where he's like, "Oh, I'll win the lottery on Wednesday, but you don't even play." But that's how lucky I feel.
Yeah. I cringed at that scene, but I could see how somebody would enjoy it. It's just the dialogue. Some of the dialogue really got under my skin, but for the most part, I enjoyed this episode. There was another thing with Dan. Oh my god, my brain is fried. Dan is a victim of not believing aliens exist in the Doctor Who universe, which was my biggest pet peeve throughout this entire episode, is when he gets kidnapped by the space dog and he's like, aliens exist? Oh, what? Like...
No, like the alien breaks through his door with an axe, and he's just like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing here? Go away."
He was super calm about that.
The guy has an axe. Like, even if you don't think it's an alien, he has an axe.
Yeah, even if you're just assuming it's a Halloween costume, he's just broken into your house. Like...
He just chopped through the fucking door. What the fuck are you doing?
But, maybe that's why we're not companions with the Doctor. Because, I feel like to be a companion with the Doctor, you need to have personality traits that would enable you to be put in life or death situations and not panic. And simply being unaware you're in a life or death situation is probably a good defense mechanism.
Yeah, Dan is very oblivious. Like, most people would be freaking out if they're on a spaceship, but he's like, Just let me out. Let me out. That's all he wants, to be let out.
Yeah. There were two moments in this episode that I really appreciated. One with the Game of Thrones guy and one with the Doctor, Yaz, and Dan, where they're just looking out into space and they're like, God, it's pretty, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, that's it is pretty. You're right. Like,
might be the prettiest space has ever looked in Doctor Who.
They really added a lot of stars.
Yeah.
I feel like if they were out in space, in reality, it would just be dark. It's dark out here. It's dark and cold.
Oh yeah, there's a scene where the Chewbacca looking dude tries to use a Jedi mind trick on Dan.
I really enjoyed that as well. Yeah, where it's kind of playing into he looks like Chewbacca. We get it.
There's a lot about this episode that kind of reminds me of Star Wars. Another one is that just the whole planet's being destroyed. All those scenes reminded me of The Force Awakens.
Yeah, the villain coming back to life from or escaping prison, I guess, and being like, "This will be our final fight."
And also all the Force talk moments with the villain and the Doctor. We just basically do a Force Skype from The Last Jedi. Yeah,
it's very much a Disney Star Wars type of deal going on there. Although I did kind of like it that it played into. We just recently reviewed The Hand of Fear, which you can listen to wherever you get podcasts at Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast. But where Tom Baker gets called back to the Time Lords via psychic link. I enjoyed, reconnecting that. The Doctor does have some mild psychic powers, and you can communicate with them that way.
This is the most psychic the Doctor has ever been for. Like, she gets multiple
full-on
messages throughout
visions.
the episode. Yeah. Like, she just sees planets being destroyed.
Is it more psychic than the Doctor Who movie, though, where he's seeing people's future with his brain?
Well, I guess the fact that the dude is the Swarm dude, I don't like his name. But I guess the
I don't like his design, so...
I guess that Swarm is communicating with the Doctor. It's more on him than the Doctor.
Yeah, it's like showing someone a PowerPoint. You know, he's got the projector. She's just the onlooker.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a very Star Warsy scene where we see a load of people running away from their planet being destroyed.
I thought that was so gruesome. When like all the blue aliens are running away from their planet getting destroyed, and then that one guy explodes, and you see all of his blood burst out of his body. It's like, if that was a different color, this isn't getting aired at 6:30. Like,
yeah, this is 6:30. Like, it's very early on in the evening.
Yeah, it was gruesome. I really enjoyed it. It came out of nowhere. Although it was, again, some of the effects in this, lockdown stuff like that. It was one of the worst looking effects in it. But him exploding was a cool shot. I enjoyed it.
So we alluded to this earlier, but the dog person is sent to get Dan because the whole Earth is being destroyed, and all 7 billion of his species is sent to protect these people, these humans. which is a very nice. I really liked that touch. It's really
Yeah,
nice.
I really liked it that you just assume that he's kidnapping Dan because he's an alien, but it turns out that his species of dog people are all bonded to each individual human, and they all have a human that they have to look after, and because they look like dogs, they're man's best friend. I thought that was so fun, and like an actual bit where I was like, oh, that's clever, where man's best friend is space dogs that come and save us.
And it goes back to what I've always been saying for this podcast. I like aliens who are just nice people. They're proper people. We're not
This is a
out to
nice
destroy the
alien. I
world.
mean, Carvanista himself's a bit grumpy, but
Yeah.
he's from a species of nice aliens that we never see in Doctor Who.
I hope they come back in some way because them guarding the planet reminds me of the end of Guardians of the Galaxy. Every ship.
Yeah, I thought the same
Yeah.
thing. The Nova Corps all going up against
Yeah.
the ship. Yeah. There's a lot of Star Wars and Marvel tie-ins. I wonder if BBC and Chibnall looked at what's successful. Good things.
Yeah, this episode does feel more blockbustery than normal, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the giant cloud monster, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Not a fan.
So in one of the scenes where the Doctor and Yaz are having their argument, a woman comes over and is like, "Oh, I know you people." When the Doctor and Yaz look over, being like, "Oh, I don't know you because we haven't met yet."
When that scene happened, I went, we're pulling a Moffat untimey-wimey box here, aren't we?
Yeah, two people came to mind: River Song, obviously, and Sally Sparrow.
Yep.
Like the ending of Blink.
It's a very much. I also has touches of me with the Silence story where we see Matt Smith die and then he comes back and it's an earlier version of Matt Smith and he's like, what's going on? It's a very Moffat-esque of here's the ending of a story that you don't know the beginning of yet and we'll reveal the beginning at the end because time travel. Which, got me excited for the Weeping Angels in this episode, which are there for all of 5 seconds.
So she gets zapped back to her own time, I guess, because she says she's taken a long way home, which I took to mean that she's from the past and somehow got stuck in the future.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. That could be true. I assumed she was just from the future and got... when she said long way home, I figured it was she meets the Doctor and the Doctor said something like, oh, maybe take the long way home on that day, And then she was like, "Oh, I took the long way home and I bumped into you. And what do you know, Doctor?" That's how I took it. But yeah, time trapped person could be cool.
Yeah, and then she gets sent back to her own time, which maybe might be 1820, and that ties into the whole mining situation. I don't know. Just a whole guess.
I'm really curious as to what's going to happen with her story because either we're going to meet her again in the future, where she meets the Doctor, and she hasn't been zapped back yet by the Weeping Angels, which is going to get so hard to keep track of if we're cutting from her unzapped, and then we cut to a story with her after she's been zapped, and we're jumping. It's a cool concept, and I'm on board with it, but that's some hard sci-fi for 6:30.
Yeah, the way I took it is that the Doctor knew she somehow got sent back in time to her own time.
But if the Doctor goes back to the time where she is and meets her, how is that happening? Because isn't there time bubble around people that get sent back in time that the TARDIS... I'm just trying to think of the Angels Take New York or whatever.
Yeah, but it's possible, right? The Doctor took her from 1820 or whatever, left her in 2021, right?
Okay.
and then she gets sent back to her proper time. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It's already complicated.
but maybe she got left in 2021 to look over the protection of the planet somehow. Maybe she's linked to all that.
Maybe. I don't. She just seemed like a regular person to me. I really didn't get much of a read on what her character. She could be God. She could look like she's a blank slate at the moment. I couldn't read her.
That kind of comes into my biggest problem with the episode. It's just that subplot just comes out of nowhere. It's just we have a subplot of the Doctor looking for Dan, And then we have a subplot immediately after of Yaz and the Doctor arguing, and then she just appears out of nowhere. And it's like,
Yeah.
we just need some breathing room, I think, in this episode.
It could be, but it could also be, right, once the 6th episode is out and it's a neat little bow, if you go back and watch episode 1, everything then makes sense. And you're like, oh my god, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, yeah.
yeah, which I hope happens, because that would be super cool to experience. But yeah,
And-
this episode, without that context yet, this episode very much was, oh, this is happening. Oh, here are some Tyrants. Oh, this is happening. Oh, here's the Weeping Angels. Oh, this is happening. Oh, here's this new villain. Oh, this is happening. Like, it was all over the place.
Also, did you notice the woman had a blue door, much like the TARDIS?
I didn't, but that's a good catch. That's a good catch right there.
At least I think it was blue. And she has to tell herself the premise of the Weeping Angel. She's like, okay, don't blink. If you blink, they'll move. Why is she telling herself that? Just to tell the audience?
I thought she was so stupid when this was happening. So she was like, don't blink, whatever you do, don't blink. And then she like immediately turns her head.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. She's trying to get her keys, and she looks down at her handbag to try and get keys out. Just like, really?
yeah, she was making a lot of rookie mistakes coming up against an angel. She just kept darting and turning her head.
Yeah.
Which, you can get away with once or maybe twice if you're lucky, but she really tried that trick more than one time too many.
But yeah, this episode makes it feel like all the aliens are just on one street. Like later on we find out that one of the villains is just in a haunted house. Like every villain is just on the same street in this episode.
Also, a thing that I really enjoyed in this episode, just talking about a completely different topic, because there's 20 billion things to try and talk about. The TARDIS malfunctioning, I adored. I absolutely loved when they go through the doors and Dan's like, why is the door on the floor? And Jodie's like, I have an abundance of doors at the moment. Like, I just absolutely loved it.
Do you have any theories of why that's happening? Like, I don't know.
Maybe they're tying in the movie, and the eye of the TARDIS or whatever is big, because they opened up the heart of the TARDIS in this episode, which was a reference I really enjoyed, where the Doctor fires the heart of the TARDIS into the flux, and the flux goes yum 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 yum. But yeah, maybe they're going to bring back, what's it called, the Eye of
Harmony.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
bring back the Eye of Harmony. Let's defeat the flux with the Eye of Harmony. That'd be great.
But my only assumption is that maybe the flux isn't eating up planets, but somehow sending them to like a different universe, or somehow bending time and reality.
I
And
don't
somehow
know. The man that exploded into juice really seemed to die.
I don't know. What is the flux? Just a cloud? Is it sentient? I think it's sentient.
It's Galactus from Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver
Yeah.
Surfer. That's what it is. It is the same design. It is I am Cloud Monster, which I thought maybe there'll be a twist. Maybe the flux will be like a person or an event or something. But I thought the flux being clouds that are just coming to destroy the Earth was super underwhelming.
Yeah. My idea, I don't know, because the Sontarans later on in the episode, just to jump ahead, they're like, oh, we'll take advantage of this. But wouldn't they be eaten by the flux unless they somehow know how to avoid the flux? Like, they can
But
talk it out of eating them.
How strong is the flux? Because the dog people seem pretty certain that they're about to just beat the flux with their shields of spaceships. So, assuming that works, the flux isn't much of a threat. But if that doesn't work, then why would they assume that it would work? And what is the flux? Why would they think that they could defeat it with their shield ships?
Also, do you think the Doctor doesn't know about the flux because she's been so preoccupied trying to find out her past? She just hasn't been paying attention to anything going on in the universe. She's just been looking for her past, which I think makes sense.
That could be. And then her past and her present have caught up with her, with the flux being this modern day villain, and then Diamond Crystal Sparkly Boy being a villain from Fugitive Doctor? Which I really enjoyed that as an explanation of like, this is a villain that fought the Doctor way back and before the first Doctor, which I thought was cool.
And the fact that he knows all of her weaknesses and she knows nothing about him is really interesting as well.
Yeah, too bad she'll beat him in 5 episodes.
I'm just wondering if Ruth is going to return, the fugitive doctor from last season.
Yeah, or maybe we'll get some more doctors that we never met before. You know.
Yeah, this season is going to be interesting. We know nothing about this because I looked on Twitter earlier, and there basically only 17 seconds of the next 6 episodes have been revealed to us. That's how little has been revealed to us. Everything we know is from the first episode.
It's an exciting time for sure. I died. Yeah, it's exciting. It's interesting. Like, even the next time segment that played at the end of this episode revealed nothing. Like, it was like, here's a Sontaran, okay. Like, here's a Victorian lady. That's all you're getting.
Before we got the next time trailer, Phil, we got a trailer for Warsaw Gummidge. Just right in the middle of that credits sequence. Did you see that?
Is that what that was?
Yes.
I didn't pay attention to when it popped up.
Yeah, but I was distracted by that. I was like, why are we playing a trailer for Warsaw Gummidge next week? Really out of place. Like, I know Warsaw Gummidge used to be played by John Pertwee, but why now?
No idea.
Well, anyway, our main villain are the Crystal People. You hate them, don't you?
I do. So the Crystal People, when he's tied up in prison, and again that scene had some horrible dialogue. But when she literally says, "Don't talk to the prisoner," and then immediately talks to the prisoner and dies.
Yep.
Why? But seems yeah. But when he's tied up, his design there, I thought was like, this is a kind of intimidating, cool-looking design. And then he becomes Sparkly Boy that looks way he just looks overly designed, where they're like, okay, he looks like this, and also he's got crystal crowns, and also he's got glittery eyeballs, and he's wears design it's too much for me. I don't like it.
And then he also zaps people out of existence, like Thanos.
He does Thanos people. Yeah, he does Thanos people.
Very shoddy looking special effects, I think. They don't look too great.
Oh, I thought they were some of the better effects in the episode. I thought the effects in the trailer looked so good, but some of them, like watching it on TV, I don't know what it is. They seem a bit weird. Maybe it's just because I'm looking at it longer. You know, the trailers cut so quick.
Yeah.
You don't really have a time to process it.
Yeah, but the lady from the Division, we don't know what the Division is yet, but they are somehow connected to keeping the Crystal Man, encaged, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's an idiot. Yeah,
she is, and she was like infinitely old.
Yeah, she was weird.
like she had been guarding the Crystal Man the entire time, and just now was getting a replacement guard. And he was like, you're so old, and now you're handing me off to a kid. I'm going to escape. And then she forgets everything she just told the kid and goes, oh, well, no, you won't escape. Oh, no, I'm dead now.
Just like when the lady said, don't blink, and it'll move, and then she blinks. Like, yeah. People forget their own rules sometimes. It's rather insane.
I think Chibnall forgets his own rules sometimes.
But yeah, we then go to the Arctic Circle, and there's a couple there, and we get a distress signal, and
I was confused by this whole plot.
They ignore it. Like, when I get a call from work, I just ignore it. I just shoot my phone. I mean, it turns out the woman is also a crystal person. I think it's Swarm's sister.
Yeah, but did the woman know that she was a crystal person?
No, I don't think so. I think it's like a Professor Yana situation. Like,
right.
She's there, but she doesn't know
she's like hidden. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the signal about?
I'm guessing it was that
because the guy knew what it was as well.
I'm guessing it was that Swarm escaped. I guess they're responsible to keep him contained.
On Earth, because they were on Earth, weren't they?
They were on Earth, yeah, but I guess somehow they have like a link to wherever he was.
I'm sure it'll get explained and definitely not forgotten about.
Yeah, but my guess is what the woman was the woman had to become human to be, it's basically
like, hide.
her.
Yeah.
Hide. And then also she had a message in her brain be like, oh yeah, destroy any message that says I escape. And then she destroys it, obviously.
Yeah, that could be an explanation.
But
yeah.
also their relationship was kind of incestuous. Like, the way he kind of rubbed her cheek was a
they're
bit...
royals, man. they're royals. That's part of the gig. Like,
I mean, even later on when the Swarm and the Doctor are in the Mind Palace, or whatever you want to call it, the way he kind of moves around her is kind of like creepy as well. He basically says that we were dancing across space and time, which is kind of sexual in a way. It's very weird dialogue.
yeah. It was interesting for sure. I'm on board with him as a villain. I thought his monologues were good. I like the actor that's doing him. He like portrays him in a pretty sinister way. I just hate the makeup. That's like
I like the fact that he's very cool and collected and patient. Like, he was there for a long time and he's just like, yeah, I'll have patience and I'll get out of here eventually. And then he got out. And now he's doing some evil stuff. I wonder if he has anything to do with the Flux. Like, is that a separate event?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe this is just a collection of random events happening at the same time. The only thing that gives me pause with this episode, right, is I really enjoyed everything it set up. But if you remember, I think it's the way that that Joji's Series 2 opens with that final twist that this guy's the master. And then it's like, oh my god, what a way to kick off this season. I'm so on board. And then it becomes super boring for most of it. And then, like, the ending is kind of a mess. I'm really worried this is setting up a lot of cool, exciting stuff and will not pay off. Because so far, Chibnall has that track record.
This kind of reminds me of episode 5 of last season, actually. You know, when the Roof Doctor was revealed, and everything just felt like it was setting up for future episodes, and it didn't culminate to anything. It just fell flat. I hope this isn't the case. I hope this continues to get better.
Yeah, like, I don't think it was a bad episode, but I think it's going to be the type of thing when you look back on it at the end of the season, it's either going to be like, oh my god, that was a perfect setup, or you're going to look back on it and be like, what was that mess about? Because none of that paid off. Look at all these plot holes Chibnall really messed up here.
Yeah.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble.
It's a gamble, yeah. But hopefully, they've got 5 episodes, and I think next week's episode is 1 hour long, not 50 minutes, so they're playing with timed constraints. So hopefully it just allows for better storytelling. One of our final story beats is that Diane, Dan's girlfriend, I guess.
They were like flirting. They were dating.
Yeah, but she basically gets called into a haunted house, and then the sister character is like, "Oh, I'll take you over." I guess she's taking over her body. I'm not quite sure what the fuck that was.
Oh, is that what was? I did not grab. I assumed they were like capturing her.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
I'm just guessing they're taking over her body to kind of like get closer to Dan. That's my only...
Why are they hanging out on Earth? The Flux is rapidly attacking it.
Yeah. Like I think the dog person says that Earth only has 2 hours left or something.
Yeah. The episode ends with like Neptune getting destroyed. Like, like there is Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Yeah. That's the order of the planets. It's Neptune that gets destroyed. They like the Earth is literally about to explode, and the big villains of the show are like just chilling on Earth like it's no big deal, which really makes me think that maybe obviously this flux cloud is getting defeated. I'm about to say like maybe it's going to be beaten, but of course it's going to be beaten. The question is, are we, Scott, going to be leading into an episode where the Earth gets destroyed? And then the Doctor spends the next 4 episodes with like a distraught Yaz being like, you just blew up the Earth and you're not telling me anything. Or are we going to get an episode where they travel back in time to be on... Or maybe that both happens. Maybe the Earth gets destroyed, then the Doctor travels back on time to be on Earth, because that's where everything's kicking off, because that's where the mine is, where they buried Diamond Crystal Boy, and he's the key to it, and they're doing some timey-wimey nonsense. I figured out the plot. There we go.
Yeah, well, we know next week's episode is set in the past, in like the 1300s, because the Sontarans are taking advantage of a situation, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how they're taking advantage of a situation, but yeah. Next week is in the past.
So are the Sontarans talking about a different event when they're attacking the Earth?
I'm pretty sure we talk about the flux, but
maybe the flux is just traveling from far away. So by the time they notice the flux and then they go to attack Earth, but when they're at Earth, it's the 1300s, and by the time the flux arrives to Earth, it's modern day because space is big.
Yeah, it's complicated. It's an interesting situation.
Yeah, there's I get as what I said to you once I finished watching it is spinning plates. Chibnall is just spinning plates left and right at the moment. Like there is so many plots happening, and all of them got about 5 minutes each.
Yeah, I really hope there's more consistency with the plots in the future. Just not introducing every plot in 5 minutes. Hopefully, the Sontarans get a proper episode. And
well, how many plots did they introduce on this episode in total?
I calculated at least 10. With the Weeping Angels, Sontarans, the dog people, the whole flux angle, the crystal people, the TARDIS getting fucked up, Dan. That's a lot of plots.
That's a lot of plot to fit into 5 episodes, isn't it?
And also Liverpool 1820. That's another plot that will be continued on, I guess.
Yeah,
that's a lot of plot. And also the Weeping Angels are going to come back as well. We already know that. And also Jacob Anderson is still floating around in space, and he's going to get...
Oh my god, we didn't even talk about him yet.
There's nothing really to talk about. He's just in space and monitoring the situation.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his monologue where he's like, God, space is so beautiful. I've been here for I think 10,000 days, he said, or something like that.
He said over 20,000 rotations.
Yeah, there you go. Over 20,000 rotations. And he's like, and it's still super pretty. And I really appreciate looking out at this. But also, go to hell.
So yeah, basically what we have to guess from that is he's seen nothing this entire time. Then suddenly he sees a flux, which is really just a flux appears out of nowhere and just eats everything, which is not predictable at all, is it?
No, not predictable, but there'll be an event that triggers the flux, and my guess is the Doctor or Diamond Head did it with their timey-wimey timiness. But yeah, who is Game of Thrones man? Whose name I just don't remember, even though you literally just said it.
Jacob Anderson.
Game of Thrones man. Damn it.
His name is Jacob Anderson, but I don't know his character's name yet.
Yeah, I don't know I don't remember his character's name, if they even said it. But yeah, is he there as a prisoner? Is it community service? Ooh. Is that why he's go to hell, you guys? I really like looking out on this vast beauty. I could be in somewhere way worse, but I'm still a prisoner. I still have nowhere else to go. Or maybe he's just on contract and got shipped out to the worst job.
Yeah, we just don't know anything at this point. It's really insane that we just know nothing.
It's great. We had all these trailers where the trailers were like, God, we just don't know what's going on. And then the first episode comes out and we're like, God, we just don't know what's going on.
I can't wait to do this podcast in January, just after all the 7 episodes have aired, the 6 episodes of this season and then the New Year special, just being like, oh, it makes sense now. We understand.
Yeah, it finally makes sense. Or be like, oh, we're going to have to wait for for the Easter special.
But yeah, that was a jam-packed episode. I think we basically covered everything. We didn't even talk about the Sontarans. Oh fuck yeah! Oh yeah, we kind of did.
We briefly touched on them, but we didn't talk about how hilarious they are.
I don't know if I like that dialogue. Just being like, oh, you're disgusting.
I really didn't like the dialogue. There's so much dialogue I didn't like in this episode. But again, I enjoyed the episode. It's a weird contrast to have. Where did that
but the fact that Dan Starkey is playing one of his Sontarans is great. Dan Starkey obviously being Strax. So, yeah.
At least they didn't redesign the Sontarans and then went, haha, you're not getting work anymore.
He's apparently the only on-screen actor to have been in all three eras of the new Doctor Who show, like the Russell T Davies era, this the Chibnall era, and obviously the Moffat era, which is interesting.
Yeah, he does this on Taron well. What can you say? I still I appreciate the new design. I know you really like it of the Sontarans, but seeing it move seems so weird to me. I think this one looks more like a costume than the when they brought the Sontarans back. I think they looked more alien when they brought them back, and this one looks more, because they've made it look more like the classic Who era Sontarans, looks a bit more like rubbery and a bit more costume.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same with the dog character. I think his movements were kind of stiff and just
Yeah, it like looked like someone wearing a big dog helmet more than someone, like if you look back on like the cat people from Russell T Davies's era, they looked like cat people.
Yeah.
Whereas this person looks like someone wearing a Chewbacca costume. Like sometimes his mouth doesn't move properly, and yeah,
the prosthetics is a bit over the top, because I think the cat people in like series 2 were a mixture of makeup and prosthetics, whereas this one is just straight on prosthetics. The costume itself doesn't look bad, just in movement.
Yeah, it's the same with the Sontarans for me.
Yeah.
I think the Sontarans look cool in still image, but when they start moving, it's a bit ooh, okay.
Doesn't allow the actor to really emote much, which is a shame. But
yeah.
Is that everything? I think we covered everything.
I think that's everything covered. We talked about the cool. What was your favorite moment in this episode?
Favorite moment? Oh, God, there's like 20 billion moments to choose from. What was your favorite moment? I'll think about it.
My favorite moment, I think, far and away, is the malfunctioning TARDIS doors, because it's a fun sci-fi concept with the TARDIS that we've not seen yet on TV. The TARDIS having multiple entrances that keep popping up for no reason is a super, super fun idea.
Did you ever watch the show My Parents Are Aliens?
Not religiously, but I have seen it.
So the concept of that show is aliens come to Earth and their house is an alien spaceship, and they adopt like 3 children. In one of the episodes, the spaceship malfunctions and every room of the house leads to a different door. So if you walk through the door for the bathroom, you're somehow teleported to the kitchen. You have to navigate the house and try to figure out which room goes where. I like that episode. It's an episode I remember.
Yeah, that's a fun concept. But yeah, that was my favorite moment in this episode of Doctor Who, because I was like, that's fun sci-fi, fun Doctor Who sci-fi, TARDIS malfunctioning, yay! And it was like something I could grab onto while everything else was buzzing by my head at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm honestly a bit too overwhelmed, but I guess my favorite moment might have been with Swarm and the Doctor in the Mind Palace being like, oh yes, I know you from when you don't remember. And that's a big moment. That's
that was cool as well. Yeah.
And it really builds a lot of threat for this alien. Like, the Doctor knows nothing about him. It's something huge.
Yeah, and it builds into the Doctor not explaining stuff to Yaz again. That's definitely going to blow up in her face, where she's getting these psychic calls from the villain, and she's just not telling anybody about it. She's just pretending like everything's okay. It's more of her Doctor being, pretty inconsiderate, which is an interesting personality to choose to give this Doctor.
I do wonder when the Timeless Child stuff will come back in, because I want that story to be wrapped up somehow. I don't
think it's getting wrapped up. This is definitely part of it. Yeah. I don't think the Timeless Child will have a conclusion. I think it's going to be one of those things that they'll just tease out. Maybe they'll conclude it in the 60th anniversary. Maybe Russell T Davies will want to tie a bow on it. But I feel like it's just an excuse for them to, whenever they want to bring in someone as a guest spot to be a Doctor, they can do that and have a canon explanation.
Yeah, like every guest character we meet in this entire show could have been the fugitive Doctor. It's insane. But yeah, that's the Halloween apocalypse for you. Pretty good episode overall, but I just need to wait to see if any of the plots get resolved in a satisfying manner.
At the moment, without knowing the conclusion, I think this is the second best Jodie opening series episode. Her first episode, which we've covered on Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast available wherever you get your podcasts, is I think her first episode's really weak.
Yeah.
Her series 2 episode, I think is really, really fun and has that excellent twist with the master reveal. And this one, I think, it's like neck and neck between those two, and really will matter if this episode has payoff like if it ties together neatly. Because if it ties together neatly and creates this awesome wee 6-part story, then this is going to be one of my favorite openings ever, because so much happens. But it's just a wait and see game at the moment.
I think this might be the best season opener in a long time. Like, Spyfall Part 1 was okay, but I think it was let down by Part 2 being kind of shift its focus slightly to like being like in the past and all that. Whereas if this season continues being strong, yeah, it definitely will be one of the best season openers ever. Like, I think maybe the Impossible Astronaut might have been the last best season opener. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Because all the Capaldi ones were kind of weak, I think.
I don't really remember any of Capaldi's season openers. I don't remember many season openers
God damn, the Impossible Astronaut was 10 years ago.
Uche.
Best season opener in 10 years? That's our title.
That's a good title. Yeah.
But good episode, yeah.
Yeah, solid episode. I'm looking forward to this Sunday's episode, which is the Sontaran War, isn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah, a bit of a lazy title, honestly, but
I take that over the Battle of Raxum Maxim Flaxum Plaxum.
True.
I'm not done. Taxum Laxum.
One of my biggest. I think I would have liked more quiet time with Dan. Just like open up the episodes, have like 15 minutes kind of like dedicated to him. Just let us know who he is.
I was expecting the episode to open with Dan.
Same here. Yeah,
that's what I expected, and then for like the Doctor and Yaz to like crash land or something, and then be like, "Oh, we've got to go, Dan," and he's like, "What's going on?" Rather than the weird green screen opening that we got. But I didn't hate the opening that we got. It was so far, I would say that Chibnall hasn't lied in his marketing of it being the biggest opening ever, and it feels like a finale, because it definitely feels like a part 1 of a finale. Assuming we would have all the context for everything that was happening beforehand.
Yeah, and also him saying like this is the Doctor's oldest enemy or whatever. That makes sense now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, color me intrigued. I'll definitely be watching episode 2 live. And hopefully... Wait, can you watch episode 2 live?
Hell yes.
Okay, cool. So episode 2 review will be out probably on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah.
As we said before with our release schedule, November gets a bit messy, just because work and Doctor Who airing on a Sunday when we release episodes on Fridays. So we have to completely rejig our recording schedule to try and work around that nightmare. But I think, are we done?
Yes, we are done. That's almost an hour. That's
Look
pretty
at
good.
that. Look at that. Episode 1, the Halloween Apocalypse. I remembered the title. Reviewed. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast, available wherever you get good podcasts, and also on YouTube at Who Watches Who. You can find us on Facebook at Who Watches Who, on Twitter at WatchesDoctor, and you can follow me on Twitter at Cloth223. And Scott...
Yes, you can send us an email at whowatcheswhopod@gmail.com. Do you have any theories about what the hell is happening this season? What the fuck? What the flux is the fuck? I would say.
Yeah. What did you think of this episode? Did you enjoy the Sontarans and how hilarious they were? I was dying of laughter.
I really hope they're better written next episode, because if
I hope all the dialogue is better written next episode.
Well, we have different right. No, we don't.
No, it's Chibnall all 6 episodes, isn't it?
Episode 4 is co-written by someone else. That's something at least.
Yeah, they did the stage directions. Chibnall took care of the dialogue.
But yeah, send us an email at whowatchesupod@gmail.com, and also we have a new episode coming out Friday. This is Torchwood episode 1, celebrating the 15th anniversary. Yes, Torchwood aired in 1971. Very risque for a time.
Well, the 70s were a time of expression, you know. That was cinema expression coming into fruition. You know, we saw the trailer for Alice in Wonderland. The 70s were a wild time.
But yeah, it's out on bonfire night. So if you want to listen to something to drown out the fireworks, then listen to Torchwood. It's a perfect. Torchwood has a lot of banging in it.
It does. Yeah, so this Friday will be the release of the sexiest Doctor Who spin-off, Torchwood Episode 1, which is one of 2 main deep dives that we've got this month because of the series is taking over most of our release schedule. Look forward to it. It's a good one. It's been edited for about 2 weeks now because we got really ahead of our schedule. So.
And now we're back on track to being kind of behind.
Yeah, it's now like a scramble to try and get everything done in time.
But yeah, we will see you on Friday, and be sure to listen to us next Sunday or Monday for the next episode.
Be sure to listen to us on Friday for the next episode, and then also listen to us on Sunday or Monday. It's going to be a lot of this podcast coming out at a weird time. Look forward to it.
But yeah, that's it.
Yes, goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.